WordPress posts are the basic containers that will display some kind of new content that you want to add. You'll publish them just like you did with the info page, but these will be arranged by date and distributed to different sections of your website instead of being a permanent fixture in the menu. The most recent posts might appear on your front page listed from newest to oldest, but they'll also be filed away on separate category pages and grouped together by content type. Let's make a few test posts to see how this works. It'll also help you visualize the site better to have just a bit more content there when you plug in a design template and start to experiment. Under the Posts tab in your left sidebar, click on Categories. These are names for the general types of content that you might post on your website, like podcast, blog, videos, or events. When you add something, you'll assign it to one of these categories and send that post to the appropriate section of your site. Those category pages can appear in your menu bar just like the permanent pages, and anybody clicking on Podcast will be taken to an area with only your podcast episodes. You can also have drop-down subcategories nested in that parent menu so that hovering over Podcast might then let you choose between filtering out just the down-tempo or up-tempo episodes, for example. Let's set up a few of these now. Under Add New Category, type a name into the box. Let's start with Podcast, written exactly the way we want it to look in our menu. If we leave the slug box blank, it's just going to use the lowercase version of podcast whenever this category appears in a web link. That's exactly what you'll want most of the time, so you don't need to add anything there. Parent category set on none means that this is a top-level category, so leave it like that, forget the description, and then click Add New Category. Repeat the same thing again, but this time enter blog as the name, keep the slug blank, parent category on none, and then Add New Category. One more time, this one will be called Events, parent category on none, and Add New Category. Let's also make a few subcategories for the podcast section. Type downtempo for the name, but this time switch the parent category to podcast and then Add New Category. You'll now see it with a dash here in the list tucked under podcast. Try that again to make an uptempo subcategory by leaving podcast as the parent. To remove any of these, it works just like the Pages screen, so use the bulk actions or the red delete that pops up when you hover your mouse over them. So now we know that categories are general content types that can have their own sections and will become a part of the site navigation. But tags are more like regular descriptive keywords that you'll add directly into posts to help visitors search your website. They won't appear in the menus and could be something like styles of music, artists that you feature in your podcast, or basically whatever you might use as a hashtag if you were sharing it on social media. You can set them up in advance here just like you did with the categories, but these won't have an option for parent. They're really useful, but much less important for site structure than the categories. Most of the time, you'll just throw some tags into the posts right before you publish them. It's a really good habit that will improve the search function and make it possible for people to click any of those tags to see all of the other posts that use them. You can also display your most popular tags somewhere on the site as another way for visitors to explore the content and focus on what they're looking for. But you don't need to define these here ahead of time. Click on All Posts and then delete the Hello World demo by hitting Trash. Now select Add New to make your first post. We'll make one for each of the categories that we set up to help you understand what WordPress is doing with your content and give you a few examples to work from. Everything here in the publishing window works exactly the same way as if you were making a page. The main difference is that when the document panel on the right is selected, you'll be seeing some extra options that apply to the whole post. Also, unlike pages, posts will always appear in chronological order and get pushed down the page a little bit every time a new one is added. You would have to check the stick to the top of the blog box if you wanted to feature this one by locking it on top, regardless of when it was published. Clicking Categories underneath will let you assign this post to any of the ones we set up so that it goes to the right section of your site. This is going to be our first blog post to announce the launch of this website, so select that one. Notice that you can also quickly add new categories right here without having to go to the Categories Setup page that we just looked at. Next, we can click on Tags to add some keywords or phrases for this post that'll be created as soon as you put a comma between them. Under that, we should set a featured image that might be shown as a preview for the post, but it's used differently depending on your design, sometimes not at all. Choose one from the media library or find a new one using Upload Files, Select Files, and then picking one from your computer. When it's ready, add some alt text, and then hit Set Featured Image. Further down, the Excerpt section gives you a place to type a quick summary of this post that might appear beside the featured image as a preview on your front page. It's okay to leave it blank because WordPress will just use text from your post anytime that's needed, but you might decide to customize a little more and write something different here. The last option in your document's sidebar is called Discussion, and opening that will let you select a box to allow comments on this post, even if you don't have that enabled by default in your main discussion settings. Let's click on Add Title and type in a name for our first post. Just like Pages, when you click Save Draft after doing this, it'll generate a permalink for you based on the title. You don't always need to change that, but you might edit sometimes to shorten them, clean things up if words get cut off, or if you just want something different for that URL. Since the names you give these posts will become a part of the permanent web link, they should use descriptive but concise keywords to make it easy for visitors and search engines to figure out what the post is all about. I'm going to use this one to announce the launch of our new website by clicking the empty paragraph block and typing in a short message there. When we hit the preview button, looks like this theme is showing the featured image in full size at the top. You can also see the clickable tags that we added here under the post. Close that preview window and click Publish twice to post it live on your site. Let's make another one by clicking Plus New in the top menu and choosing Post. We'll make this one as if we were promoting an event, so I'll call it Come to the Party and save a draft. Let's just use this post to display some event artwork or any test image that you have. Hover your cursor under the title until you see the plus sign and add an image block. Choose to upload something from your Bits and Pieces folder, maybe center the image, and then add your alt text. Let's switch this over to the document panel and scroll down a bit so that we can put this post in the events category. Next, we can pick a few tags using commas to separate them. Set the featured image, maybe even use the same one you just uploaded for this post, and then check the preview. If it looks okay, you can close that window and hit Publish twice. Let's make one more test post, but with an MP3 this time so that we can put something into the podcast category. Use the Plus New option at the top to make a new post, and then give it the title of an audio file that you uploaded with FileZilla. Click Save Draft to generate the permalink and make sure it's what you want, usually just a lowercase version of the post title. Now click the empty paragraph block and type the title of the mix again exactly the way you want it to appear as a clickable link. Select that with your mouse by holding the button and dragging over it, then click the link button in your tools at the top. In the box that appears, enter the URL address to that MP3 file, which will look something like this. When you press Enter or the Apply arrow to the right, it'll turn that into a link that plays the file when somebody clicks on it. I'm going to center this and make it a little more bold. Next, we can add another paragraph block underneath using the plus sign at the top left, and then type in some information about this podcast episode, or even better, paste in the full track listing. Remember that as long as the paragraph block is selected, you can play with the font size in the block panel. So I'm going to make this text a bit smaller, and also center it using the alignment tools at the top. Another way that you can add audio to a post is with an audio block. So click the plus, then choose Audio. Since you already uploaded the audio with FileZilla, we can just click Insert from URL and type the web address of your MP3 into the box. You can then either click Enter or the Apply arrow to the right, and it will convert that link into an audio player. The block panel will then show you some new settings if you want the file to play automatically or loop. Switch that panel back to the document settings and select both podcast and uptempo as the categories. Add some descriptive tags, and then choose your featured image, maybe whatever you have so far for your podcast artwork. Check the preview and make sure that your link works, then close that tab and publish it. If you don't like having to hit Publish twice each time, you can uncheck the box at the bottom that says Always Show Pre-Published Checks, and you'll only have to click it once to go live from now on. If you open all posts in the left sidebar, you'll see that your new test posts have been added to the list. Check your site online and you should see them all in sequence on your front page. Now go back to your dashboard and click on Appearance. You're just about ready for the fun part, so let's change this default design and get a better idea of how your site is really going to look in the next video.